Reach out and touch the radiator in the oldest room you can find. Feel the weight of it. Feel the iron, built to last 300 years to do a job a thin metal panel does today. Now ask the question that cost a surveyor named Voss his post at the Imperial Commission. Why does a thing built only to be warm carry more copper inside it than a telegraph station? That's not a figure of speech. He weighed it. And before I read a word of his file, this is a story, the surveyor is a character. What follows is a reconstruction. But it's built around an object bolted to a wall in 10 million old buildings right now. And once you've followed the measurements, you will never put your hand on a cold one the same way again. Here is the thing his file circles, the thing to hold through everything that follows. The old radiator was the most over-engineered way to heat a room that has ever been built. And the surveyor's question was never how does it warm the room. It was, what else is it doing while it warms the room? Look at the copper, because this is where the file stops being curiosity and becomes obsession, and it happens fast. You expect iron in a radiator. Iron is cheap, iron holds heat, iron is what you would build a heater from, and the outer shell, in his measurements, is iron, exactly as you'd expect. But inside, threaded through the core of the old units he surveyed between 1872 and 1901, runs copper, heavy copper, far more than the movement of hot water through the unit could ever require. He weighed the copper pulled from a single decommissioned unit and recorded the figure twice, underlined, because he did not believe it the first time. More copper, by mass, than a domestic telegraph installation of the same year. In a heater, in a thing whose only stated job was to be warm. And copper, he writes in the margin, was the most expensive material in the building. You do not thread a fortune in copper through a heater unless the copper is doing something the heat is not. Hold that. More copper in the heater than in the telegraph. We come back to it. So if it isn't for the heat, what is the copper for? He doesn't answer yet. He goes looking for where the copper goes, and that's where the file turns from one object into a system, because the copper does not stay in the radiator. Follow the pipe. This is the second thing, and it's the thing that kept him awake. A modern radiator connects to two pipes, hot water in, cooled water out, a closed loop. That is all heating requires. But the old units he surveyed had a third connection. A third pipe, smaller, copper, running not back into the heating loop but down, through the floor, through the structure, toward the foundation and below it. The records had a name for this third pipe, and the name is the kind of dull administrative word this whole story hides inside. They called it a condensate drain, a pipe to carry away water that condensed inside the unit. And the surveyor, who had spent a decade learning that the dullest word in the record is where the truth is buried, asked the question no one had asked. A sealed unit running pressurized hot water does not produce loose condensate that needs its own dedicated copper line to the foundation. There is nothing to drain. So what was the third pipe actually carrying? Down, always down, toward the ground. And there's a detail he flags here that he'll return to, a teaser he can't yet explain. The third pipe didn't run straight to the foundation. It passed through the valve first. The same valve you'd turn to control the heat. Remember that. It matters later. For now, follow the copper down. In every unit he could access, the third pipe ran to the same place the chimney's hidden conduit ran, the same place the tower's grounding rod ran, down to the buried level, to the foundation and through it. And here, earlier than you'd expect, because the measurements gave him the right, the surveyor stops asking why and writes down how. Because the pieces laid beside the chimney file and the spire file stop being three mysteries and become one mechanism. Let me give it to you the way he gives it, plainly, as a working reconstruction. The radiator was never primarily a heater, it was a terminal. The iron shell held and radiated warmth. That part was real and useful, and exactly the cover that kept anyone from asking further. But the copper core was a conductor, and the third pipe was its path to the ground. The unit sat in the room doing two things at once: warming the people in front of it, and connecting the room itself into the same buried network the chimney fed and the tower answered. The warmth was the disguise, the copper was the function, the third pipe was the wire. He is careful here, and I'll be careful with him. He does not claim to know the full purpose of the network. He claims only what the iron and copper and the third pipe physically were, and where they physically went. What it was ultimately for, he leaves at the edge of what he could measure. But how it was built, he states flatly: a heater that was also a terminal, wired to the ground, in every significant building of the age. The records back the pattern. In his survey ledger for 1889 he lists unit after unit by foundry mark. The heavy units from the older works, cast before 1880, all carrying the copper core and the third pipe, the lighter units cast after, carrying neither. The break is clean, and it falls in the same window as everything else in his vials. Something changed in how these were built in a single span of years, across foundries that shared no owner. Now go back to the valve, because the valve is the detail that turns the whole thing from theory into something colder. Every old radiator has a valve, the round handle you turn for heat. You've turned 100 of them. But the surveyor took the valves apart, and inside the old units he found a mechanism far more complex than heat control requires, not a simple flow restrictor. A multi-stage assembly, calibrated to positions that had nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with regulating what passed through the copper core and down that third pipe. The valve was never only a thermostat, it was a tuner. And here is the part written in a hand the file shows growing unsteady. The fine gradations beneath the simple hot and cold the householder saw correspond to no heating standard in any engineering record of the period. They correspond to something else, a scale he recognized but could not bring himself to name on the page. A scale of frequencies, a heater you tune like an instrument, wired to the ground, carrying more copper than a telegraph. That is the radiator the surveyor describes, and every part of it is still bolted to a wall somewhere, painted over a dozen times, holding its secret behind the simplest cover there is. It keeps you warm, so you never ask what else it does. And then comes the part about how it stopped, because it did stop, and it did not stop by being torn out. The old units were too heavy, too numerous, too embedded in the bones of the buildings to remove. So across a single band of years, two things happened. First, the third pipe, the copper line to the ground, was cut and capped, building by building, in work the records describe as plumbing modernization. A heater with its third pipe severed is just a heater. Its connection to the buried level gone, quietly, under the dullest possible name. And second, the new units that replaced the failing ones were built without the copper core, without the third pipe, without the calibrated valve, built only to heat. Thin, cheap, honest, a radiator that was only ever a radiator. You do not need to rip the old terminals from the walls. You only cut one pipe and let the next generation install heaters that were never anything more. Within 30 years, no one alive remembered the third pipe had a purpose. The copper stayed in the walls, severed, painted over, warming rooms and connecting to nothing. So set the pieces together the way he does on the last full page of the file, the way the chimney and the spire taught us. An iron shell that warms the room, real and a cover. A copper core heavier than a telegraph station that heating could never explain. A third pipe called a drain that drained nothing and ran always down to the buried level. A valve calibrated not to temperature but to a scale he would not name. And then at the end that third pipe cut under the word modernization and replaced with heaters that were honestly only heaters. 5 things, and what they describe in his reconstruction is not a heater at all. It is the most domestic, most intimate terminal of the whole network. The one they put in your bedroom, the one you warmed your hands on, the one you trusted most completely, because what could be more harmless than the thing that keeps you warm? I'll say it plainly, the way I always do. This is a story. The surveyor is a character. There is nothing waiting in the radiator under your window but cold iron and old paint. But the question the story is built on is real, and it has an edge. You have lived your whole life beside these heavy old objects and never once asked why they were built to outlast empires to do a job a thin panel does now. Why the copper? Why the third pipe? Why the valve does more than a valve needs to? The story doesn't ask you to believe the answer. It asks you to notice the questions, and to notice that the explanation you were handed, it is the one that leaves the most unexplained. I'm going to stop short of where the careless tellings of this go, the grand claim, the single hidden hand, the enemy with a face. The file doesn't earn that, and neither will this channel. What it earns is smaller and colder, that a man could take apart the most ordinary comfort in his own home, measure every part of it, and come away unable to say for certain that he knew what it was. The old units are still on the walls, the copper is still in them. The third pipe in most of them is still capped. That is as far as an honest story goes. So here is what I'll leave you with. The surveyor's own instruction from the end of his file. Find the oldest radiator you can, put your hand on it. Feel the weight and ask where all that iron and copper was really going. Look for the third pipe, or the place a third pipe was cut and capped. And ask the one question this whole file is built around. Who decided this should be ordinary? And what did we agree to stop wondering about so that it would be? If the world of these files pulls at you, if you want the whole reconstruction, the measurements, the copper, the third pipe traced building by building, that's the Great Reset of 1850. It is the full archive, and this was one file out of many. And if you want the wider world these files belong to, the lost age this whole story reaches back toward, that's the companion volume, Tartaria, the Erased Empire. Both are waiting in the shop, and the link is in the description. This is the archive. It's a story. Thank you once again for putting your hand on the cold iron and wondering with me. Next file, the bridge. Why the oldest stone bridges were built to carry weights no cart of their century could have crossed, and what the surveyor believed they were really waiting for.